Zarthak the Unbreakable stood in the center of the gladiatorial arena, his four massive arms flexed, as the crowd of 1 trillion beings across the galaxy watched through quantum feeds. For 3 centuries, no challenger had lasted more than 30 seconds against the Vorthan champion. His exoskeleton gleamed like obsidian under the artificial suns, and his mandibles clicked with anticipation. The Emperor's voice boomed across the arena through neural amplifiers. "Citizens of the Empire, today we witness a most unusual challenge. A species recently discovered on the outer rim dares to face our champion. Behold, a human." The arena. Gates hissed open, and out walked the smallest opponent Zarthak had ever faced. The creature stood barely 2 meters tall, with only 2 arms and 2 legs, no natural armor, no visible weapons, no enhanced musculature. Its pale skin looked fragile as parchment. The human wore simple clothing and carried nothing but a small bag. The crowd's roar turned to confused murmurs, then nervous laughter. Several spectators demanded refunds through their neural links. This would be over in seconds. "I am Marcus Chen," the human said, his voice somehow carrying clearly across the vast arena without amplification. "I come not to fight you, Zarthak, but to offer you something you've never encountered." Zarthak's translator implant rendered the alien words into Vorthon battle cant. The champion's eyes narrowed. In 3 centuries of combat, no opponent had ever spoken to him first. They usually charged, screamed battle cries, or begged for mercy. "What could a soft flesh offer the Unbreakable?" Zarthak rumbled, his voice like grinding stone. Marcus reached into his bag, and every security system in the arena immediately scanned the object he withdrew. The scans showed bread. Simple, organic bread. "Food," Marcus said simply. "When did you last eat something made with care, rather than combat rations? When did you last taste something created for joy rather than mere sustenance?" The crowd fell silent. In the Emperor's box, advisors frantically consulted databases. This was unprecedented. The gladiatorial codes had no provision for conversation. Zarthak's mandibles stopped clicking. In 300 years, no one had asked him about food. About anything, really, except death. "I do not understand," the champion said, his secondary arms twitching uncertainly. Marcus broke the bread, releasing a warm, yeasty aroma that the arena's atmospheric processors carried even to the furthest seats. "My grandmother taught me to bake this. She learned from her grandmother, who learned from hers. It's a chain going back thousands of years. Each loaf carries the love of every woman who perfected the recipe." He held out half the loaf. "When you eat something made with love, you taste more than ingredients. You taste hope, connection, the desire to nurture rather than destroy." Zarthak stared at the offered bread. His combat instinct screamed warnings. This could be poison, a trick, a weapon disguised as food. But his scanner showed only grain, water, salt, and time. "Why?" Zarthak asked, and for the first time in centuries, his voice carried uncertainty, rather than menace. "Because I looked up your record," Marcus said gently. 15,000 fights, 15,000 victories, 15,000 beings who died for entertainment. I wondered, what does that do to someone? And I thought, maybe what you need isn't another fight. Maybe what you need is to remember what it feels like to create instead of destroy." The bread remained extended between them. The galaxy watched, breathless. "I have forgotten," Zarthak whispered, his voice barely audible even in the perfect acoustics of the arena. "I have forgotten what I was before they made me this." Marcus nodded. "My species has a saying: the way you change the world is not by conquering it, but by showing it something beautiful. You're the strongest being in the galaxy, Zarthak. But strength isn't just about what you can break. It's about what you choose to protect." Slowly, carefully, Zarthak reached out with one massive hand and accepted the bread. He brought it to his mandibles, paused, then took a small bite. The taste hit him like a physical blow. Not the manufactured efficiency of combat rations, but something warm, complex, alive with subtle flavors that spoke of earth and sunshine, and countless careful hands. For the first time in 3 centuries, Zarthak tasted love. The champion of the Galactic Empire sat down heavily in the sand of the arena floor. His massive frame shook, and the crowd realized with shock that the Unbreakable was weeping. "I remember," he said through tears that sparkled like diamonds on his obsidian cheeks. "I remember my mother's last meal before they took me. She made sweet cakes with golden honey. She said they would keep me safe." Marcus sat beside him, this tiny human next to the galaxy's greatest warrior, sharing bread in the sand while 1,000,000,000 beings watched in stunned silence. "You don't have to fight anymore," Marcus said quietly. "You can choose something else." Zarthak looked at his 4 massive hands, built for war, holding bread made with love. "I choose to remember. I choose to find another way." The champion stood, faced the Emperor's box, and for the first time in 3 centuries, laid down his weapons. "I forfeit," he announced, his voice carrying to every corner of the galaxy. "Not because I cannot fight, but because I will not. I have remembered what I was before I became what you made me." That day, the gladiatorial games of the Galactic Empire ended forever. Not through conquest or rebellion, but because one small human reminded the strongest being in the galaxy that sometimes the greatest victory is choosing not to fight at all. And in the years that followed, when beings across the stars spoke of the day the unbreakable became breakable, they didn't remember it as defeat. They remembered it as the day strength found its true meaning.